Board of County Commissioners acts as a quasi-judicial body when it hears requests for rezoning and conditional use permits. Applicants must provide competent, substantial evidence establishing facts or expert witness opinion testimony showing that the request meets the zoning code and comprehensive plan criteria. Opponents must also testify as to facts or provide expert testimony whether they like or dislike a request is not competent evidence. The board must then decide whether the evidence demonstrates consistency and compatibility with the comprehensive plan and the existing rules in the zoning ordinance, property adjacent to the property to be rezoned, and the actual development of the surrounding area. The board cannot consider speculation, non-expert opinion testimony, or poll the audience by asking those in favor or opposed to stand up or raise their hands. If a commissioner has had communications regarding a rezoning or conditional use permit request before the board, the commissioner must disclose the subject of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place before the board takes action on the request. Likewise, if a commissioner has made a site visit, inspection, or investigation, the commissioner must disclose that fact before the board takes action on the request. Each applicant is allowed a total of 15 minutes to present their request, unless time is extended by majority vote of the board. The applicant may reserve any portion of the 15 minutes for rebuttal. Other speakers are allowed 5 minutes to speak. Speakers may not pass their time to someone else in order to give that person more time to speak.
To the things at hand. Lord, that we just pray that everything that is said here would be pleasing to you. Lord, that it would be clear and your will would be done. We just thank you for the opportunity we have to live in this country, Lord, and we just thank you for the many blessings that you give us each and every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, and with that, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Commissioner Pritchett?
Stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to minutes. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Pritchett to approve the August 30th regular meeting minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to consent. Does Commission desire to have anything removed? Because I have no cards.
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve consent.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tobias. All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That was quick. Moving on to public comments. Mr. Charles Tovey.
Charles Tovey, 2555 Roberts Road. Good to be here tonight. Good to see you. And under other terms, Mr. Smith, Commissioner, thank you, and see you in the future. Speaking about my property status, first I want to recognize Audie Murphy, a great veteran for this country, and thanks all who served, no matter what their position, cooks, cleaners, defenders. My property's ready. I'm waiting on the bank to clear my first draw. Trailers will be empty tonight. for the reconstruction. Driveways are finished. Trees will be done tonight and tomorrow. I did half of the vehicles this afternoon. I'll do the other half this evening and tomorrow morning, and they'll be moved. Sorry for the delay. Instead of surgery, I chose extensive physical therapy, and it occupied a lot of my time, and I tried to get everything straightened out for your departure, Mr. Commissioner Smith. I had a couple days with the surveyors. They were having a difficult time. They sold the property next to me, so I'm going to reach out to the new owners. And besides that, why didn't they ask me first? I've never been asked anything about it. Would have saved me and everything a lot of time. And with all due respect, I appreciate your patience and your respect towards me and the situation. Also, personal information about a car accident I got in when I was a youth. I had a corrupt attorney, and it's not important to anybody, and probably nobody believe it, but John Torres and Bill Mick did a show about this corrupt attorney. I said, that sounds like my attorney. And it was 26/0666. There is nothing I can do, but I feel responsible for things, and people just have to ask me. I'm a very cooperative person, and I love everybody until you disrespect me. Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan?
Sandra Sullivan, good evening. So last night at the City Council meeting, the City of Sally Beach voted to, on their new ordinance for parking management, to charge parking at Hightower and Pelican. And while that's not the issue is the deed restrictions when the county gave them the park, that there be no differential in fee. So this is a photo of their parking community proposal from what they put up last night and in the ordinance. And as you can see, it says for city residents will be paid by city taxes. Well, the problem is not all city residents actually own property. Some of them rent, okay? And then you have residents like our veterans who some of them do not pay property taxes. And so Eden Bentley had done a legal opinion. This was at my request on 22nd of December. I think that was 2021 or 2020. And so included is a sheet of paper. It says, this is from Eden Bentley. Whereas the county believes the annual parking pass program violates the terms of the current deed restrictions. So this is the financial projections that they're expecting. I watched at the time that they had their committee parking management, and the key point that was being made is there isn't enough parking for the city residents. The city residents were complaining. So I believe the intent in all of this is to discourage people from parking at the park so their residents have a place to park. And just a bit of history. Hightower used to be an unincorporated area and was only annexed into the city for conservation. And the county park itself is part of a federal agreement, LW 541, which has a included survey that makes it part of those conservation lands. There's a lot of issues, and we believe that this is a trial balloon to see what they can get away with because of the contention that is going on with the inappropriate development on the View property. So the FCT, the Florida Community Trust state agreement, has an adjacent property clause in its deed restrictions that limits height and land uses that would otherwise harm that preserve. There's a broader issue. So this, we believe, and the reason they have been pushing to release covenants in the past as well, is so that they can do inappropriate uses. There's also another legal opinion that was issued by the county pertaining to the Sky Bridge, which is in several plans that the city approved both in 2019 and 2020, with that plan showing the Sky Bridge. The view is still, when people go in there, they're still telling people that that is still being built. We would ask that the county invoke the reverter clause, both to protect the county from future liability potentially
Thank you.
the residents.
All right, item H1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item H1 is Sunshine State Wildlife Conservation LLC request a CUP for land alteration and a GU zoning classification. Application number is 22Z00040, tax account number 3001207, located in District 5.
All right, I don't have any cards on this at all. I have no issues with this. So can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Tobias. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item H2.
Lifestyle Home Builders, Inc. requests a change of zoning classification from RU-1-7 to RU-1-11. Application number 22Z00044, tax account number 2864390, also located in District 5.
Okay, no issues.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item H3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item H3 is Daisy Mae of Brevard, Inc. requests a change of zoning classification from BU-1-A to RU-2-12. Application number is 22Z00046. Tax account number is 2731679, also located in District 5. For the record, I need to state that staff has not reviewed a concept plan for the proposed use. Any uses that are, that would be permitted would need to go through the review process to make sure that it complies with our code. Thank you.
All right, I have 3 cards on this. Wendy Kaflish.
Thank you all very much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.
You just tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Wendy Clayfish, and I am at 107 Franklin Avenue, just west of the proposed rezoning for Daisy Mae.
Thank you.
I would like to bring, I have a lot of concerns, obviously, a lot more than a loss of sunset or sunrise, more so that this proposed high-density 12 units will impact my property at a substantial more than 20% loss right off the top. I do want you guys to be aware of that. Also, will this go on the projector?
You can put it on them.
Okay. So
I don't know that we're going to be able to see it. But.
I'm not sure if you all can see it, but I did find something that I found that was very important. Chapter 16.6, residential zoning districts. And I wanted you guys to know that just west of my property is zoned as an AR, which is an agriculture, low density with chickens and so forth. So I already respectfully do have a buffer wall to my west, along with a agriculture zoned property. So then you put me in the middle here, and then Daisy Mae, where the yellow box is. So now you have 107 tax-paying citizen for 16 years. Love my home. I now look at this as I'm being stuck between two walls, and I can't see it any other way. And I ask respectfully that you please consider this when you make your vote. Myself, I am disabled, whether you wish to know this or not. And I have everything I need for you all if you need that. My house is currently ADA compliant, so I wish for you all to know that the fact that I've taken the extra steps to make my house ADA compliant for the wheelchairs and so forth is very important. It's not an easy task to do, and I do realize the future, and my direction is 100% to be in the wheelchair. So we know that the multiple sclerosis will take me down, but right now I'm here today fighting and asking you to please consider me as a buffer wall to the west already, so to put another wall to the east is, you could understand, right?
Is that going to decrease your access to the property? To your property?
Yes. And not only does it decrease my access, madam, but it also more than 28% decreases the value of my home if I was to put it for sale today. Just the two zonings. Everything else is respectfully the RU11. The Daisy Mae of Brevard was also, as you can see, an RU11. So to go from a one-story to an aggressive, I feel aggressive, RU12 resort family, that's a lot. It's a lot. But because what I lose the most is my home, I would please ask for you to please consider that in your decision. I do realize that real estate is on fire. I am just respectfully asking that maybe we can stay even within the RU11 zone and keep Franklin a very nice, peaceful, residential place. Thank you again very much for your time.
Anthony Robinson?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam, I'm sorry, I just had one quick question. I apologize.
Sure.
I went through my emails, and you said that this would drop your property value. You said more than 28%. Did you send that out, an appraisal? I didn't see it. I'm wondering if I overlooked it.
I apologize, sir, but that was direct from my corporate attorney. I did not.
Do you have something like documented that you could show us?
I don't have anything today that I could show you, but
Okay.
I could certainly follow up with an email immediately. But I just got wind of really what was going on and a clear understanding without receiving a zoning card in the mail when clearly I am the closest. So I'm so sorry, I do not, but I will get you whatever you need.
Yeah,
but if we just follow your code with all due respect at a 5% loss of revenue,
Well,
and more than that's your statute.
do you have anything that says 5%?
I have nothing from my corporate attorney other than
Okay. I'm sorry.
A lot of paperwork.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't overlooking, anything.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
But thank you for asking.
Commissioner Pritchett?
Yeah,
Wait,
ma'am, hold on just a second. You had mentioned a wall on this side and wall on this side.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be more comfortable instead of a wall, there was a natural buffer there instead of that separating the properties? Would that help some?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what the correct answer on this situation is. I can
Well,
tell
it'd be you
you.
personal. Would that
With-
be a little more helpful?
We
Yes.
don't even have a concept yet.
No, I'm just throwing
Yeah.
out ideas for
I
later.
would, I've been asking to plant some, great big 6-foot azalea, 12-foot azalea palms just to get a little separation between the two. But to answer you very honestly, when I look out my front door, I will see a wall, and I will have no backyard for the rest of my life because it will be duplexes. So
Well, you-
I look out back, I see.
I understand that, but you know how it's zoned right now, it's actually business, and I mean, it's a low-intensity business, but I mean, there's the possibility of things with the zoning going in right now that'd be very uncomfortable to live next to, just so that you're aware of that. So, but thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, and
Thank
I
you.
am aware, and that
I'm
is,
good. Thank you.
And I have one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about access, handicap access. How would anything built like that next to your house impair the ability for you to access via wheelchair your property?
I have to move. I have no privacy anymore, ever
Is it the
again.
privacy issue? Because
It's both for me, but
I'm just concerned about access. If it's going to interfere, block you somehow.
I don't know where, with 12 units and 2 vehicles, that's 24 cars. I don't know where they're going to go right now.
But they wouldn't be on your property is why
Well,
I'm
they
asking.
are currently with regards to and I have no issue, by the way, with the cars from the ice cream place that come or use the driveway or park, because it's been that way since I moved in. But I have no idea where these other vehicles are going to go.
Okay.
And where they would park. There's a lot of concern there as well. But for me, because it changes my quality of life completely with not even a breeze anymore, walls surrounding me, that is not why I moved into Indialantic and have spent 16 years of paradise there. Respectfully, and
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Robinson?
I would ask her if she can get proof that property would be depreciated from her
Well, you can ask that
realtor.
after. I mean, she's not going anywhere. Ask her after. Yeah. And just so you know, typically we go with the applicant first, who can present their case and talk about it. I don't have a card from the applicant. So if the applicant's in the room, I would encourage you to fill out a card so you can speak. And you'll get your time to respond to the comments as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Robinson. I live at 107 Franklin Avenue. We're just west of the proposed unit of Daisy Mae Incorporated to make the 12 units. My main concern was several concerns with the 12 units being there. You have 2 cars per unit, so that's 24 cars. And you have 2 trash cans per unit and 1 recycle per unit, so that's 36. So you're having 24 cars and 36 trash cans in a half-acre area. How is this going to be possible to have something that large of an impact into the area that doesn't block anything like the scenery, which is, no problem with the scenery. The one thing is the noise and the trash that would be definitely coming from that. And also one of the concerns is the utilities, the water, the sewage, and the electric. Has there been a study or anything like that saying that this 12 units upgrade the neighborhood will be able to withstand the upgrade of this without downgrading the system, going down from the units down to the neighborhood? As we all know from Hurricane Ian, we lost power. We lost it for 2 days, sometimes 3. Well, is there a study that you could tell me that this area of 107 Franklin is able to withstand 12 units of electricity, water, or sewage? Do you know? Have there been
We can respond when you're done with your
okay, all right,
comments.
I'm sorry. All right. With the 12 units, with being living on the Barrier Islands, a couple of things we have is the water, the sewage, and the electric. With the water, we have low pressure because that's how it is. You have low water pressure on the beach. Electricity and sewage as well. With the 12 units, right there is the study. Will it be able to generate enough? How can I say this? Will the study that's there? Well, hopefully there will be a study or a study that's going to be able to show that it's going to need an upgrade, and if so, who's going to be paying for the upgrade for the electric, for the sewage, and for the water? Will the taxpayers be paying for this? Will the homeowners be paying for it? Will Daisy Mae be paying for this? And that's, one of the main things that we're worried about is the upgrades. Will we be able to withstand upgrading, and who's going to be paying for this? And I think that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody have any questions? I know we have capacity things for all of our utilities, and I don't believe a 12 unit would cause us to have to expand or grow our.
So just as a point of clarification, the property is only a half acre, so it would be 6 units.
Okay.
So it's just that, and when we did our concurrency analysis, it's indicated that there's adequate capacity for both transportation, education, and utilities.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Alina. I don't want to mess up your last name, so I'll let you say it.
Good afternoon. My name is Alina Knöpfler. I'm the owner of 109 Franklin Avenue, the second closest to the subject property. I'm here today to speak for my husband too. He's still in Germany, so we discussed back and forth about if you would really consider this rezoning application today, because you already considered and approved a rezoning down the street, which is not far away, which is only 418 feet away from the subject property. So you already did this last year, and it was rezoned from RU 111 to, again, what this is now questioned. So and it is even smaller than this property we are talking today about, which is just 0.5 acre. And so my concern is not only what Wendy already said and what Anthony said when it comes to their direct door-to-door issues, when it comes to quiet enjoyment, when it comes to maybe the valuation and depreciation of their property value, when it comes to their view, the noise, and all the parking spots which will be needed for even a 6 unit with 2 times, of course, so parents have 2 cars usually. So, and I'm wondering what would happen next. I really was discussing with all the neighbors what is next. And what is next is pretty simple. I'm in the real estate industry, and all these people are making money, which is great. I'm doing money with the A1A rezoning you already approved a couple of weeks ago, and we are all seeking to make money. But the real question I have, not only for you, but for your planners and for the county, is when we start, and I have investors by my side who are keen to get my property, which is already an agricultural one, which is considered as a low-density property, which is very close to the door of Wendy. So what would happen next? Are we really prepared in this neighborhood, in this street, and all other streets for multifamily homes? Because they will flip. The people are seeking now the chance to upgrade, which is okay, but the question is if the infrastructure is prepared, not only in our street, but in the other neighborhoods nearby, if they are prepared for rescue, if they are really prepared for energy, for waste management, if they are prepared for the schooling, what's about with hospitals. So any other people will be upgraded and flip their properties to multifamily homes. And so this is as long as good as you are guys prepared. And I'm just wondering, that's my main question, if you really, really are prepared when any other neighbor, and including myself, I'm just toying with the idea to do this too, because I can make money. This is a money-making machine we are right into. So my neighbors who has duplexes around the corner will be, of course, then upgrade to 2-story homes, and everybody will do this to make money, which is great. But the infrastructure, I question if this would be prepared. Another thing for you to consider is, please, when I look for the past, for the what is the historic land pattern for this whole area, I can only find RU 111s. So when I look in the past, it was former rezoned as a RU 111. It was no more than this. And then 30 years ago, it was rezoned like an BU, which is still a very medium or low density property. And now he's seeking for doubling the whole thing. And beside this, when it comes to the future land use, and this is another concern I have is, yes, you approved already, which was my beginning, you already approved the 117 1 year ago, which was rezoned from a RU 111 to a multifamily one, but it is not constructed yet. So when it comes to the future land use, when you have no construction in place and it is now for sale for 3 times the price, you know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, applicant, you're next. You have 15 minutes. I have another public comment card because I'm trying to stay in order so you can respond, but you have 15 minutes to talk about what you want to do.
It's kind of new to me, but my name is Columbo Andrus. I own the lot that we're here talking about. I've owned it for 22 years. I've paid taxes and insurance on it and upkeep for 22 years. I own Moo's Ice Cream in front of that lot. Wendy, the first person you talked to, owns the house west adjoining the vacant lot. Where she was thinking 12 units is beyond me. I've had many people want to buy that lot because it is BU1A and build, I think they can go up 30 feet there, 35 feet. I thought I would do the right thing and do multifamily there because it's would be better than another commercial building and traffic and everything on Grosse Pointe and Franklin. Wendy owns a limousine service that she runs out of her house there. Doesn't bother me. She can do whatever she wants. Maybe her knowing it's 6 units instead of 12 will change her opinion. I don't know what else to tell you about that, except I've had it for 22 years and I really don't see an issue with making it more family than business. We're surrounded by business on both sides, if anybody's familiar with that area.
Yeah, I live in Indialantic.
Okay, so.
And frequent moves often.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Did anybody have any questions for the applicant? If we do, we'll have you come back up.
Okay, so just.
Thank you.
I'll wait. Thank you.
Oops. Ms. Sullivan?
So,
can you state your name,
Sandra
please?
Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. Of course, I live beachside, and the concern I have in living beachside is, and I've spoken here many times, is about the critical evacuation deficiency that exists up where I am on Pineda Causeway. It exists down in O'Galley. The more that you add density to the barrier island, the more this becomes an issue. You want to see something that just highlights that? Just look at Fort Myers Beach, barrier island, you know, impacted by a hurricane. They had, what is it, number up to now, 117 people lost a life. When we have a Category 3, according to your own comp plan, the barrier island dunes gets breached. According to studies, and I'll send you another email today on one, the storm surge will be 20 feet and a lot of buildings will be just like what we saw in Fort Myers. I'm going to also say I was here recently at the meeting following the 7.2 plus million gallons of sewage that just got treated sewage granted to the lagoon. And so that South Beaches plant is at 86% capacity. State concurrency, you know, we should have a plan at 85%. We do not have a plan for extending capacity at that plant yet. So that's another issue. And then, so the sewage is an issue, the roads. O'Galley has, I think, areas that are D and E level of service. So when you say there's no infrastructure issues, there absolutely is infrastructure issues beachside. And incrementally, you can look at a single property. This is just 6 units. But incrementally, you add across the barrier island, we're adding density And there's a lot of development pressure. And like the lady said, is what is the plan for to address infrastructure? Because every time we rain, and it wasn't just with Hurricane Ian, it was when the rains started in the beginning of September after the droughts, we start dumping on these sewage treatment plants that are 86% capacity. We have to be more responsible. And lastly, on the topic of impact fees. So as we add density, there's supposed to be impact fees, but we haven't updated impact fees in nearly 2 decades. And now what are you talking about? Under the affordable housing, waiving them, and they don't even have to build.
Can you kind of
affordable
stay
housing.
to the subject of this item?
It's all related to
But impact
how
fees.
we pay for
Okay, thank you,
the
Ms. Sullivan.
infrastructure. Thank you.
Can you come back up, applicant, please? Applicant, yes, I'm sorry. Is it Lewis?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did Commission have any additional questions? Okay, and this is probably not as a question for you, but you can talk about it as well. You said you've owned the property for 22 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And Tad, perhaps you can discuss or at least comment on what could be built there based on the current zoning?
So the current zoning is a BU1A, which is our neighborhood commercial. It's one of the lower intensity commercials, but it would allow for multifamily, it would allow for professional offices, it would allow for other businesses, retail. It allows for convenience stores, gas stations, right?
Convenience stores?
I believe
that
it
sort of
does a
thing?
conve store. I don't believe it allows for convenience
Which
and
would be
gas.
significant amount of
yeah.
traffic.
So it could create, there's things there that would allow for it, would have a lot greater traffic impact than the duplex is being proposed, or the duplexes.
I kind of looked at all that, and that's why I went in the direction I went.
And I know people would like there never to be any development, especially if it's nice, clear. I think one of the biggest arguments for people that come up and testify, you're supposed to provide evidence. That's why we ask so many questions. Do you have some documentation? Because we look for concrete facts and not emotion. People don't want us to approve anything if they live next door to a vacant land. So that's a given, but it doesn't, you have property rights as an owner of that property as well. So I have no issue with this item as it stands. It's in my district. Commissioner Pritchett?
Yes, ma'am, I agree. I just want to make a couple comments. If you own your property, you should be allowed to build on it. Commissioner Rezanka just kind of said the same thing. And I think you're actually downzoning.
I thought I was.
And then
You are.
You're going to have to figure out what's going to fit on half an acre, and you've got few more things to go through, but I think it's pretty good. And, we just heard a bunch of comments about getting off the island and a catastrophe. Well, everybody's got to run that risk themselves, but it doesn't mean people can't enjoy their properties. And so I wanted to mention that, and I just have to say this because I haven't yet, but the impact fees, somebody's going to pay for them. It's either going to be the builder, or it's not like we're not picking up the cost, but if the builder does, we're all going to pick up the cost anyway, so it's just trying to figure out how we collect them down the road anyway. So I don't know what to do with that when it comes up continually, but it's something that everybody pays for regardless. If you go to a business, they raise their rates, all the customers pay for it.
Yep.
So it always gets passed down.
And you have to bring a plan that conceptually is sound and follows code, so
Right.
I'm not worried about that.
And thank you for bringing a project actually, this is kind of workforce housing that we're looking for. I like it when we go up because we have less of a footprint on the land, so I really don't mind that, but I'm thinking you'll be respectful of neighbors. But if they're running a business out of there anyways, it's interesting, but thank you.
You have any questions? No? All right, couldn't I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
And is that with the, assuming that they're going to bring the concept as well,
Yes,
like
ma'am.
staff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Pritchett. Second by Commissioner Tobias. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're all set. Good luck. Item H4.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item H4 is John H. and Diana Beni request a change of zoning classification from RRMH-1 to AU. Application number is 22Z00043. Tax account number is 2000678, located in District 1, Based on the planning and zoning recommendation, they recommended AUL, which is a light version of AU, to recognize the commercial aspects of AU zoning. The applicant stated that he was in agreement with that recommendation.
Motion to approve, ma'am.
I have a motion to approve item H4 by Commissioner Pritchett, a second by Commissioner Smith. I have no cards. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item H5?
Madam Chair, my item H5 and H6 has been withdrawn by the applicant. There's no need for a motion.
Okay, moving on to item H7.
Item
Excuse
H7
me, can keep the voices down, we're trying to have a meeting. H7, please.
Item H7 is an ordinance amending Chapter 62, Article 6, Section 62, 1255 regarding establishment of zoning classification, and Section 62, 1573 regarding institutional use, and Section 62, 2106 regarding mixed use. These are in response to or the update for the year. The policy numbers just changed, and so we're updating our zoning code to reflect those changes in the year.
All right, Commission, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tobias. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item H8.
Again, this is an ordinance amending Chapter 62, Article 6 regarding sewer lift stations, sewer vacuum stations, and other water and utility infrastructure elements. This is the second and final reading. The proposed amendments allows for more flexibility for the Utilities Department to retrofit existing communities with lift stations and other infrastructure requirements to do that.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tobias. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. And I have no further public comment cards. Moving on to commission business, or board reports. Mr. Bate?
No report.
I have a public comments, but public comments is passed. You guys want to open up public comments again? What's commission's desire?
If you have a new person, maybe, I don't know.
Let me see. Did we miss some? We did. Oh, I apologize. You got mixed up with the folks that spoke on the item. I apologize for that. Come on up. I'm so sorry. Sorry, guys. I missed their cards in the mix with the others. So Donald Franson? Again, I apologize, guys. Sorry.
No worries.
I think I stuck you on the bottom of the pile and you somehow got
It
shuffled
happens.
in.
I'm Don Franson. I live at my business. I own Brevard Towing at 4135 North Courtney Parkway, Merritt Island, Florida. I'm here to talk about the towing ordinance that you guys are been working diligently on, and I know all of you have put a lot of work into it. It's something that has a lot of moving parts. I get it, and I'm here just to say that I would like to do anything I can to help work with the commission to come up with a common sense ordinance in reference to towing where it's common sense and it's updated. We haven't had an update since 2008, and a lot's changed since then. And with that said, I talked to Attorney Richardson, and he said today that, but he wasn't for sure, but it was advertised today. I'm not sure. I didn't see that today, if it was advertised. That was one of my questions. The second question, according to what I read, if it wasn't advertised today, then you have a vote coming up on the 15th, and it has to be, as far as I know, it has to be advertised 10 days before the vote. If that's correct? Yeah. Right. So
It's advertised for next meeting.
Oh, it is advertised for next meeting. When did that come out? Today? I'm not sure, but I didn't see it. So
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but it was advertised for the 15th.
Okay, so on the 15th, you will vote on it. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, we'll address the item. It doesn't mean definitively we'll vote on it. We may
I
send
get
it
it.
back. It's
So,
hard to say.
beyond
But it's
that,
up for a public hearing.
Gotcha. So beyond that, all I request that is if we could have some discussion with prior to being voted on with the tow companies that are present today, that we have some input and some say on that. That's all I request. And prior, I was here and asked for that request before, and at this point, we haven't had much say in reference to us, the tow companies. We just wanted a little more, we wanted some input in your decision, and that's all I'm asking for. I could leave my card with any one of you if you want to reach out to me, and I'd like to have some input on that decision. That's all I asked for. Thank you.
Of course. Commissioner Pritchett?
Sir, have you got the preliminary package that was, so that y'all can look through it? Thank you, ma'am. Have you gotten the preliminary package that was, so y'all could look through it a little bit?
No, I have not received anything.
Why don't you, I think any one of our offices, we've got something we could send out. It was going to be on the last agenda, so I think there's already some things. Actually, if you get a hold of Commissioner Smith, he's done a lot of work on this.
Yes.
And I think he met with a lot of, I'm sure
Yeah.
he's going to comment here in a second.
Yeah.
But if you would start that work, it might be an advantage for you.
It would be an honor for me to work with Commissioner Smith,
Okay,
and I'll
because
reach out to him.
He's done a lot of work on this.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of conversation, so I think this is a really good time for you to study it. If you've got any things that you want changed, and kind of let him know and let us know so that we can be ready for it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
In fact, Don, after the meeting, I'll go up to my office with my folks, and we'll make copies for however many of you guys are here. So then you'll be able to read them firsthand, and then you can get back to me with any questions or thoughts that you have.
Thank you, sir.
And we won't, I don't think we'll be much longer tonight, so if you just stick around.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, CJ Chase?
Good evening. I'm CJ with C&L Towing in Titusville, 4155 South Street. My question, I'm probably a little more rough than he is about it. Last time we were here, we had talked about a roundtable and that we were going to be involved. So I'm a little irritated that I got a phone call late last night. Hey, we need to be at the commissioners meeting tomorrow because they're talking about possibly voting on this tow ordinance. Got a texted partial copy, probably what you're discussing, of maybe some of the stuff that's been put into this resolution. And I'll go back to what you said earlier. We're a business. We're here to make money. Prices have went up. I'll use oil dry. Oil dry used to cost me $4.50 a bag. It's now $20 a bag. I can't work for the rates that you guys even proposed in the new ordinance. And it's not so much the rates, it's the limitations. It's the, we don't want to pay mileage. We don't want to pay for this. We don't want to pay for that. I get into an ambulance, I'm charged, what, $19 for an acetaminophen? Now that's the county charging that. The county put in that the ambulatory rates needed to be improved, that you know, the county needed a raise, and the county approved that. My trucks are just like that ambulance. I have to have a truck available to respond to any accident that we get called for. So those trucks aren't just there and we happen to run out for y'all just because we're not doing something else. We do other work while we're waiting on your work when we can. But those trucks, just like an ambulance, just like a fire truck, I ordered a truck last week, $652,000. It's going to take me 10 years at $6,000 a month to pay that. The insurance will be another $3,000 to $4,000 a month on top of that for that one truck. That truck allows us to tow your fire truck that you only want to pay us $300 to tow. So we've really got to get, like Don said, we need input into this. You guys don't know what towing's about. You don't, you know, you got a business background, you got this, but you know, I can't walk into Kmart and tell them how to run Kmart. It's, we need to be able to put our input in. We don't need to be told that we're going to be part of it and then find out at the last minute that we need to rush down here and put our 2 cents in. We need to be called. We need to be notified. You guys took all of our emails last time. I haven't got an email from anybody. You know, you want to work with us. You want us to foot the bill for things that the county can't afford, because I can assure you the county can't afford wreckers. The county, you've got 2 at the sheriff's department, and they still hire out to us. But then you want to limit us to at a loss every tow we do based on those rates that you're saying is for the county. And you referenced Brevard County Sheriff a lot in this, in the thing that you've got. The Brevard County Sheriff doesn't have a whole lot to do with it. The commission, but I'm not understanding why the Brevard County Sheriff's is notified a lot, or referred to a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roig? Are you related to Jeanette?
Janice?
No, Jeanette.
Jeanette? No.
Oh, I have a Roig that works in my office.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's weird.
She's awesome.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
My name is Sam Roig. I'm the owner of Imperial Towing of Brevard, West Melbourne. I just want to irradiate on these guys' stuff. You know, we were supposed to have a round table. We never had any discussions. I saw the fees. I read some of the verbiage. Some of the verbiage, even in the one paragraphs, are contradicting itself within the paragraph. We really need to sit down and hash all this stuff out. This is, it's getting a little crazy. Like he said, trucks are getting very expensive. I ordered 3 trucks this year. I haven't seen one yet. And, you know, I'm about to spend $500,000 on 3 trucks. They're just not here. You know, things in the economy these days are not, what you say is easy. You know, a lot of things are getting more expensive. I understand. I try to do good for the community, but at the same time, I can't work in the red or at a loss. You know, a lot of times, like these guys say, we're in the highway at 2, 3 in the morning. 2 weeks ago, somebody got shot at in Cocoa to just towing a car. The whole tow truck is shot up now. I don't know if you guys heard about that. One of our other fellow colleagues, his truck is shot. So who's going to fix that? He has to fix that out of pocket. You know, we run these risks. We're not talking about private property tows. We're talking about tows that are in the emergency situations. The ones for the highways, opening the roads when there's accidents, and this turnaround we have right here. You know, we have to respond within a certain amount of time. Employees, it's hard to retain employees. Everybody wants big money. And if we have to work on a small budget, we can't afford an employee to even get in the truck. So these are some of the things that we would like to discuss, to consider with the package, not to say that, oh, we need this money because, oh, the truck is expensive. It works in the whole genre of the business. Insurance, gas, diesel's up over $6. You know, so it's just a consideration of all these things, just so that we can maintain to operation. All right? That's all I have to say.
Well, I'd like to say that I appreciate you guys being here. And we have worked with some towing companies, and they were part and parcel of a lot of the discussions. I've kind of been on the sidelines just kind of guiding the conversations.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy to sit down with you guys. But first, I think we need to get you a complete, up-to-date copy of what we've proposed. And then you have an idea of what and where we are. And then I'd be happy to continue the conversation in my office tomorrow or next week.
Wonderful.
And get your input.
Great. We appreciate that.
I'm looking out for you guys because I'm a fellow businessman, and I appreciate the fact that you're going through some tough times. You don't have any control over inflation, and it's killing everybody. And I had lunch with a head of one of the hospitals last week, and he was telling me that he's got people with $100,000 jobs that just don't call in, don't come back to work.
It's crazy.
And he said, you know, used to be when they didn't come back to work, we just ignore them. But we need them now, and so, because we don't have anybody
to replace.
So we call them and say, oh, you haven't been to work, you need some time off, can we arrange you to come back to work? Oh, I'm not coming back to work there.
Yeah.
I mean, the attitudes you guys and all business people have to deal with right now is crazy. So, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to protect the public and take care of you guys at the same time. So
Understandable.
I think we can get there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pritchett?
Yeah, Kurt, question here is, I know you've been working through this. So I know we have a bunch of different people that, that take these jobs for towing. How do we get them in the mix with that? Do they submit a contract to do it? How do we do that? We set the rates and then everybody submits contracts if they want to be in the rotation schedule. Am I right with that?
Mars can explain that better. He's worked with the legalese.
Currently, the sheriff administers the rotation system. So they go through and they're listed with BCSO. I think it's handled by zones, but at any rate, the sheriff maintains those lists, and it's a true rotation. They will call the next up on the list with a call, and we'll keep calling through until they get someone to respond to that call, moving on to the next each time.
Okay, are they required to do it to get other business from the county, or?
No, there's no requirement that they be on the record rotation list. In fact, it's considered a thing of value by most of the towing companies. So some of them, for example, have acquired other smaller companies in order to get an additional place on the rotation list. And that's going to be part of the ordinance that's considered on the 15th, is formalizing that wrecker operator system. And that's, I heard a comment about the sheriff being involved. That's really the only thing the sheriff has been involved in, that wrecker operator system, the rotation list, because they currently do that. The sheriff hasn't been involved in the rate discussion.
Just throwing a wrench in it, is there any way to maybe have people do competitive bids to be on the rotation with something like that, to put in bids to do these jobs?
The sheriff is going to have a lot of discretion about how to operate that, but that is an example. They could put out, a request for proposals, and people put in proposals to be included on the rotation list, where they can continue with the list they have. They can take applications. There are a number of ways to do that.
Because that would be a way to get, not right now, but we'll get it later. But that would be a way maybe to get some rates set differently. And if they're losing money, then nobody would put in a bid, and I wouldn't do it then anyways. But I'm thinking, Kurt, there's so many more different types of towing of what we're looking at here. So I'm interested in the conversation we'll have next week. But I probably wouldn't mind a phone call from you guys in the meantime here to give me information. And definitely get a hold of Commissioner Smith's office. He's really been running with this for a long period of time. We made that statement last meeting. Of course, Commissioner Smith was going to run with this. Please get with him and give him your concerns. So looking forward, and I know whatever do is going to be more money than you're getting now. So I'm hoping that we're able to do something more competitive. So we're going to do a lot of work over the next week or so. Thank you.
And I'll just comment that if it's not out of place where the board's not comfortable, we're not going to just vote for it just to get it done. So if many people want to offer more and there's a lot of questions, we'll bring it back like we did last time. But again, I think we're charged with, and Commissioner Smith said this, we're charged with protecting the public as well as making sure that you can function, making sure you want to be a part of the list, because if it's not affordable for you, then we're not going to have companies that are able to tow. So again, it's a balance, but we don't want people getting these frivolous charges either, and I think that that's happened a little bit, and I think that's sort of kind of what brought us here too. I mean, I think we had a lot of complaints for people who can't afford to get their vehicles out because they have no choice because it's picked up at a scene, and we don't want people abusing that either, so.
And that's typically perhaps the right word isn't the rogue towers, but they're the single owner tower has one truck, and he's bouncing around, or she's bouncing around just trying to find a tow. And they're the ones that are likely to yank your car out of a parking lot that has a little sign that says if you're parked here illegally, you'll be fined. And they can get out of hand. That's not these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we've covered that in the ordinance as well.
Commissioner Pritchett?
Yeah, I want to state that I think you've done well with addressing some of those transparency issues for the public to know cost as well. And I think the rotation situation also needed to be addressed. So there's a lot in here we have to address. So we got to start taking
Yeah, and
bites
if we can't get you guys comfortable with this, then it'll just move forward to the next meeting, and then you're on your own.
But we'll get it done.
Well, actually, I'm done in about 2 more weeks.
Well, the framework,
But the work's been done by the attorneys. Like I said, all I've done is give guidance because of my background. And I think we're about 95% there. So I'm sure that we can get where you guys would feel well, will feel well as well. We will feel good as well.
and no one's going to like it 100% equally. I mean, you're going to have people in your industry that don't like it. You're going to have some that say it's better, some that say it's worse. I don't know. Okay. All right, we're breaking rules by going back and forth, and they're gonna beat me down for it. So let's move on.
One more thought too, ma'am, is even if Commissioner Smith isn't here, this isn't something we take lightly. We're all studying this.
Right.
So.
All right. Mr. Abate, did you have anything?
Still no report.
Okay. You look like you wanted to talk, so I misread your face. Mr. Richardson?
No report.
Commissioner Pritchett?
I have something, but I am going to bet Commissioner Tobias wants to bring it up, so I'm going to let him do so.
Oh, Commissioner Tobias.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Got a couple things real quickly. The first one, hopefully, will require a motion on my part. Hopefully, I'll get some buy-in. I'd like to thank not only the executive staff here, but Myra as well, Larry Lallo, Marcus Herman for all their hard work. They certainly went above and beyond. And taking a step back and looking that there'll be a new commissioner in a few weeks and some potential new priorities, and the priorities of Myra may shift accordingly. I don't think that my motion provided enough time for Myra to adapt to some changes that may go there. So I still think that it's good that they look at going forward and making that plan better. But the motion I'd like to do is remove the deadline requiring December 20th for staff to return to the Board of Commissioners with a revised plan and allow them to come back to the board at their earliest convenience. Give them a little bit more time. So that's the idea of the motion. They've definitely put forth a good faith effort. I greatly appreciate that, and this is just extending that time. So that's all the motion entails, but we had a motion before, so I would need a motion
And I
here.
would just say, since this has sort of been your initiative, make sure you stay on top of it and that doesn't get missed. I'm not saying that will happen with the new commissioner, but just we want to make sure it gets done. I'm pretty excited with the work they've done, too. All right, so I have a motion by Commissioner Tobias. Second by Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And last night, I spent a little over an hour and a half at Satellite Beach, and City Council meeting. By the way, I did not speak either on the board's obviously behalf, but certainly not mine as well. Anyway, the Satellite Beach discussed this was just a first reading of the ordinance that would establish parking fee programs. What I thought was interesting was there were 6 or 7 speakers, residents, and 6 of them got up there and spoke against it. One candidate who was the Republican candidate said he'd spoken with 90% of the people he'd spoken with knocking on doors said they were against it. Even a candidate who, to the best of my knowledge, was nonpartisan, didn't take an affirmative stand on it. Even though the mayor said that many people had contacted him saying the parking fee should be much higher. I think he said $85, though no one came and supported, let alone the $25. So either way, the beach parking fee program would cover all their parks, but 2 of the parks are ones that were formerly owned by Brevard County. Those would be Pelican Park and Hightower. The deeds for these parks contain restrictions that require the cities to make parks available to all county residents and visitors with no differential in fees. Any user fees must be uniformly applied. Now, to enforce these deed restrictions, the county would need to file a lawsuit against the city. The county could request either two items here, and the county attorney was helpful with this: an injunction preventing Satellite Beach from implementing the differential parking scheme, and 2, revision of the ownership of the parks from Satellite Beach back to the county. I just wanted to throw these out there. Again, that was just first reading, and there would be a second reading necessary to do this, but Satellite Beach, they voted unanimously on this. And by the way, in their meeting packet, again, I, of course, observed, I'm sure everyone else did, sunshine, but they said, quote, they've received direct contact from some of the county commissioners. So I'll tell you right now, the direction they've gotten to me is don't go there. So that means they've said here on $25, two of you guys, be glad to share, it's in their meeting packet, some, not one, but some. So two of you guys, they have indicated here that they got the direction for $25. It's right there in the meeting packet. By the way, some of the arguments against it, other than illegal, were brought up by some of the residents. And I thought they were kind of interesting. Just to throw out here, ours is a legal aspect, but I want to show broader ones because it was kind of interesting going to another meeting. Some folks had some privacy issues. They'll be taking photographs of your license plate. Business losses. This is less if less out-of-town folks coming in. It's less money that could go to businesses. The idea was that paying for parking will lead visitors to start parking on these side streets, thus blocking, resident parking. And number two, a resident I thought brought up very interesting is the number of permits that a house could get. There was no limit. So in other words, someone at Satellite Beach could get 15 permits. So there were a whole bunch of questions. Yeah, there were a whole bunch of questions up there. Again, that's not my issue. But I do want to definitely say the folks of Satellite Beach brought up some very good points. And it was interesting to see the look on the city council members' face when their own residents were saying this may not be the greatest of idea. But again, I wanted to throw this out here. This will be coming up at their next meeting. And should they go through, those are our two options. What I'd encourage you guys to do in the meantime is to speak with the county attorney's office as to if you want to go this route, which option makes the most sense. But again, I encourage you guys to read the agenda report because some of you had, if that's
according to them anyway.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I just want to point out that that's in the minutes that they discussed that. I thought it was very interesting. But anyway, thank you guys for your time on that one, and I appreciate you guys giving me the courtesy of discussing that matter.
Commissioner Tobias, I thank you for bringing this up. I am thinking they're having trouble maintaining the park. I am really uncomfortable that they're going to put all the pressure, substance of reform. Everybody in the county is going to park there is going to pay for it. So I'm thinking we should probably just take them back. And then, we can do this and pay for the upkeep, and that way everybody's paying the same, and it takes the pressure off them. It's valuable property that was handed over to them. At this point, that's where I'm settling. We just go ahead and take them back. And if we want to keep the parking free to everybody, fine. Maybe we can find a way to absorb it. I think the total cost up here is about $49,000-$50,000. So it's just a thought we can do that. We'll just take it over and take responsibility back for it again. I almost am leaning more towards that because when we went through situations in the past, I realized that, cities shut down all the public beaches. So that's where my direction is, sir. So that's where I'm going to be leaning towards, that we just go ahead and take these properties back and deal with them.
Commissioner Smith? This is your district for a little while longer anyway.
Yeah, well, and I'm not going to be here when you guys make the decision, but I'm trying to get rid of parks. And that was one of the first things I did, was get rid of a Palm Bay park. So I'm not in favor, and I wouldn't be in favor of going that route. And as far as, I can't imagine anybody on this commission encouraged, and maybe one of you did, but I can tell you I didn't, because since the very beginning I suggested to them that I didn't think this was a good idea. And if I was a resident, I would say I never go to the beach, and I'm not going to the beach, so I want a $35 or whatever they're charging. I want a credit on my property taxes.
Madam Chair, just to be clear, I'm not accusing anyone up here. In fact, I think that's quite the opposite. In fact, we said something differently, but I'll read right here. This is on the Satellite Beach ordinance that they had up there. Since this is right off the agenda report, quote, since then, we have received some direction from some of the county commissioners to lower the annual pass fee for county residents to $25. I'm reading off of exactly what they presented. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just letting you know this is the information they're peddling to their citizens. and the board members as well. And I'll tell you right now, I had a conversation that they should change it to $0, not to, certainly to $25. So anyway, I'd be more than willing to share it, or you can get that off the Satellite Beach website.
I don't have any objection to them charging whatever they want to charge, but I just think that everybody, if they're going to charge their residents the same, which they're bound to do, that the resident that uses it should come in and spend the $35 or whatever they decide. And I don't know why they're married to that idea, but I don't agree with it. I don't know why they think that, but it's their prerogative. And they've spent, in their defense, they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade that part with the bathrooms and such, and they have a lot of expenses maintaining them. So I get why they want to charge, but I also understand one of the topics you mentioned has been mentioned when I've had discussions with those folks over there. One of the concerns is that the properties across the street, whether they be businesses or homes, they're going to have cars parked in and around their houses and in their parking lots and Walmart and whatever else is around. So if this is their baby, I want them to keep the baby, and they have to figure out how they're going to do it on their own. I don't think the commission should get involved, but that's up to you guys, because I won't be here.
Well, let me throw out a Plan B as well. They have other properties, and Commissioner Tobias told me they're planning on raising the rates on all of them. Another thing, we take it back and they can buy it from us, and then they can do what they want to do. But, I mean, this is property we gave them. And in all fairness, substance over form, and I read Ms. Bentley's opinion, and this is just uncomfortable to me. So I think that's something that I think they need to rectify and get right. But an idea would be is to maybe send a letter to them before their next meeting, letting them know that they probably need to reconsider their position. Might be something, and it might solve a lot of problems.
I wanted to make Morris work. I wanted him to file this stuff.
Well, he'd have to write a letter, though, now, too, right?
If I guess we're talking about a demand letter, Madam Chair, is that what we're?
Well, I mean, I think that if they're watching, which I'm sure they are, because they do watch our meetings, they'll know that they need to come up with a different plan. I understand why they need to raise the revenue if they want to keep the park, to the standard that they want it, but, I mean, and the county doesn't have $200,000 a year to maintain this park. We just don't.
Well, we would if we charged parking to everybody.
Exactly. So, I mean, I would say we could, task Mary with, do we start charging parking if we take it back over again? Or do we task them with, maybe you come up with a reasonable rate and it's the same across the board? I'm not crazy about the switcheroo, and apparently the residents aren't either. Charge the residents $25 or $35 and then give it back to them on their taxes. That's just kind of weird. And I think we had some conflicting opinions on whether or not that was legal. So I'll get with Morris offline and find out what's legal, what's not legal. I'm happy to reach out to Satellite as well. I mean, we have somebody else coming into this district, so we should probably allow for that conversation to occur before
So I will be more than willing to grant authority to give the chair
Why are you looking at me?
The discretion to send the feeling that was pretty obvious up here to Satellite Beach before their second reading vote, if you want.
What do you guys desire?
I think we've been pretty clear. I think we were clear last time, and they still went forward with a 4-0 vote. One member wasn't there.
Do you want the letter to just say we're not comfortable with the current plan as was voted on at your last meeting?
Or you could say, should you go forward, we will either file an injunction preventing Satellite Beach from, whatever you want. I'm more than willing. I'm excited to see Morris at work here.
I'll be a vote at that time to take the property back, just so you guys know. It would be ours. We can go ahead and charge for everybody the same or whatever, and then it's fair for everybody. So that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. And I know it's extreme side, but that's really where I'm at. I don't like this.
Yeah, I bet wherever Mary Ellen is, she's like cringing.
She is. She's like,
It's valuable property.
what are they doing?
All right, whatever you guys want to do, I'm ready for my board report.
Okay. Commissioner Smith?
All right, I just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works. They gave me a tour today of their operations center on Pineda,
Cool.
and it's very, very impressive. I'm happy for them that they've got a first-class operation or facility to perform their operations. They've just done a wonderful job with that property. I don't know if any of you had seen it prior to this, but it was, the buildings were there, but as I said today, I went in there 8 years ago when I ran the first time, and I knew this guy, I knew who he was. He had no idea who I was, but I knew him because he was heavily involved with the gun shows in Melbourne. And so I went in and just meekly said, could I put one of my signs out on your property? And he said, who are you? So I told him I was running for county commission, and I was a conservative, and I wanted to put my sign because that's a very heavily traveled road. So he let me do that, and I got to see the inside of those buildings, and they were nice on the outside, but boy, they weren't much more than dirt on the inside and dirt on the outside. And he stored a lot of equipment, and he stored boats there and all kinds of different stuff. And so if you guys get the opportunity, I would encourage you to get these folks to give you a tour. You'd really like it, and I think you'd be impressed.
Great. Okay, so where did we leave this? Am I writing a letter? Commission?
It might keep it from being so legal later if you send one.
Okay, what do you want in this letter?
Just send a letter and say, tread lightly.
Oh, yeah.
That we're not in agreement with your proposal?
I want to give you full discretion, Madam Chair.
I don't want to, I don't want it to be too aggressive. I don't want it to be too light. I want them to understand that the board is not in agreement with their plan and may pursue legal action.
I can work with you on
I was going to say, why
letter.
don't you write the letter,
I'll be
Morris?
happy to do that with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Morris is going to pen the letter.
Problem solved.
All right. And I have nothing. I just, I know we talked about this some time ago, but we never kind of revisited it. And this seems kind of silly to talk about here, but I think we have to talk about it during a public meeting. Morris and I talked about it, or maybe it was Frank and I don't even remember. But public comment, we have 2 sections for public comment. And I believe that procedure and policy is if the first public comment goes beyond 30 minutes, we go into the second public comment. Is there some way to put that on the agenda like that? I mean, is there some way to delineate on the agenda of just maybe a bullet to say if, that goes over the 30 minutes? So people, because initially people were signing up for both public comments, which was something we weren't supposed to be doing, and then that was a whole big stink. I just want it clear for people.
It's absolutely possible. We can modify the agenda and make a notation on it.
And again, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I figure now's as good a place as any to bring it up. I want to make sure people have a chance to speak, and I'm fine with even letting them go beyond the 30 minutes in the first hour. I just don't want it to get abused, I guess is the best way. All right. Seeing no other business,
And a fun time was had by all.
meeting adjourned. Thanks.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.